Oh, recording in progress. Okay.
Uh,
Got it. Got it. I've got to click on something. There we go. Yes. So what I was saying um, is that we're talking about thoughts and feelings this evening, and how important it is to become aware. Really, it's to have awareness of where your thoughts and feelings go, and an awareness of uh, how they're affecting you, how they're affecting your interactions with other people, how they're affecting your life, your health, because a lot of the trapped thoughts and feelings, toxic, toxic thoughts and feelings, can go into your body and create all kinds of illnesses and so forth. But we're not delving into that so much today. But basically, we're looking at thoughts and feelings. Actually, what you're thinking and feeling creates your reality. And I guess the first thing to really kind of grasp about that is that, firstly, even though they feel real, your thoughts and feelings aren't real. And the only reason we say they're not real, is not because you're not feeling them and thinking them, it's because they're a program. They've been hardwired into your nervous system, your autonomic nervous system, and the way we think and feel is always generally based upon our past, based upon what happened to us, obviously as an infant and as a small child, but also as you're going through life. The things that happen to you that create certain responses and thoughts and feelings become part of your program, become your past. And when things happen to you, we always refer back automatically to what we thought and felt in the past, the familiar past. And we prefer staying in the familiar past. We prefer that as human beings. We prefer that than going into the unknown. This is why a lot of people stay in abusive relationships, satisfactory circumstances, because the familiarity of the past it feels much safer than going into the unknown and not knowing what's in front of you. Yeah, it's people say, well, I can't control my thoughts and feelings. I can't control the way I am. It's just the way I am. I might blow up about something, but it's just the way I am. And a lot of people think that, that's the way I am. And I've been there too, with things like a fear of heights, for instance. I've always been terrified of heights. And it's just the way I was, until I did my first Dr. Joe Dispenza retreat, and they had me climbing up this bloody tower and abseiling down it. I thought I was going to die when I was climbing up it. When I was climbing up this tall, tall tower, I'm going, I can't do this. I can't do this. Oh my God, I can't do this. And I'm going up and I've got all the gear on. And I get up to the platform and they're wiring me up and getting me prepared. And then I went back down and over the side. And much to my delight, I discovered I couldn't actually see down to the ground because I was going down backwards. And I went, oh, this is okay. I can't even see where I'm going. And I laughed all the way down to the bottom. And then after that, I did a couple of treetop challenges where you're up in the, you're up in, it's terrifying. But I did it twice. And now it's like, it's not just the way I am anymore, because it's a choice. And that's what we have to realize, is that the way we think and feel about things is actually a choice, and it takes will. to choose what you're thinking and feeling, because we so easily fall into the way we've always felt about things. If people say things to us that make us respond in an upset sort of way, or you feel it in your gut, you can choose to just let that move straight through you. But a lot of times the most common thing for people to do is to hang on to it and then look for the meaning. What does it mean about me? What did it mean about what they think about me? What did it mean? Most of the time it doesn't mean anything. It's just a misunderstanding or just something that happened. But we make it all mean something. And we don't have to. And that's why people don't change that much generally in their lives, because they all live in the past. We all live in the past. I mean, I'm not excluding myself. I mean, I've come this far with this sort of work, but it's what's referred to as the Battle of Evermore. It's like, it's not something that you go to a few courses and you cracked it. Like it's a lifelong thing, which sounds a bit grim, but it's delightful, actually. I find it delightful. And a person who I followed quite a bit and like a lot is Neville Goddard, and I don't know how many of you've heard of him, but he's really awesome. He was a mystic back in the 1940s, 50s. I think he died in the 70s. But I've read quite a few of his books, and I've listened to him doing lectures. And he says the one and only reality is consciousness. That's it. That's the only reality. And it's divided into two streams, the conscious and the subconscious. And we know about, if you've done this kind of work, you know about the conscious and the subconscious, but it's the conscious is subconscious is the female. The conscious impresses an idea on the subconscious, and the subconscious is the thing that goes yes and creates it, which sounds really simple, but what comes into the mix then is your unconscious beliefs, which are held in your body. Now, I always thought when I started doing this stuff that the unconscious mind was like somewhere in my head. I think I might have said that last time when we did this, but it always amazed, because I'm always re-amazed when I realize that my unconscious mind is actually my physical body. It's not up in my head. It's my physical body. It's my autonomic nervous system. It is those hardwired neurological pathways. When I get pissed off or upset or fearful or challenged, it's like it all goes and it does it on its own. And you have to you have to notice it and go, I know what's happening. And then you choose. It's not like about suppressing what you feel or trying to push it down or try not to feel it or whatever. It's letting it be there, but it's about noticing it, being aware of what's happening, and then going, okay, what would I prefer at this point? How would I prefer to be feeling? How would I prefer to be behaving? It's bringing just your self-conscious mind into it, rather than it just being on automatic pilot. And
understand that.
Hello?
It's your phone, Lou.
No, my phone's not on.
All right, then I'll put mine on.
All right. Anyway, la. So, so the subconscious always says yes to the input into it that has the most energy attached to it. So it feeds into the subconscious is our superconscious, higher self, our unconscious beliefs, and our self-conscious mind, which has an idea that it wants to create. But half the time, when we have an idea about what we want to create, then we go, yeah, that's a really cool idea. But then what happens is the unconscious beliefs kind of make us feel, you know, with all the beliefs come in, like I'm not worthy of this. I can't do this because I'm not educated enough. I can't do this because I haven't got enough money. I can't do this because of whatever. And so immediately there are doubts and fears and things, you know, that come into your world about thoughts, you know, about the thing that you want to create, that you want to do. And the subconscious mind is going to latch on to those emotions. It's the feeling. It's the feeling that's the most important thing. It's not what you're thinking, it's the feeling. So if the feelings come in of not being good enough and so on, then the subconscious mind is going to create that then. You know, no idea can be fully expressed until it is felt, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent. Once it is felt, it must become a reality. It must become expressed. And the great thing is you don't have to know how. So you don't have to when you create something, you know, people think they have to have a plan and they need to know how, and they need to, you know, create a plan of how they're going to create X, Y, and Z. But you don't need a plan. You just need to feel that result already before the thing becomes real in 3D reality. So control of your feelings is paramount, and it's a discipline to only imagine, to only your imagination imagine something that is going to contribute to your happiness. You know, I know that in my life I've imagined things going wrong. I've imagined disasters. I was you know, years ago I was in a training with William Whitecloud. Many of, obviously, quite a few of you know him. And we had to think about what it was we were most afraid of. And I put up my hand. He never often picked me when I put my hand up. He used to ignore me. But he picked me and he said, I said, what I'm most afraid of is being old and poor. And he laughed and he said, oh, you're that already. It stung me to the core. It stung me to the core, and it made me feel, God, it made me feel dreadful. But those feelings of feeling dreadful about it is kind of like there's a learning in that. There's a learning in that in how you deal with that and what you do with that. And I like to think I've risen above it. I like to feel that I'm different plane now. But you know, it's like see, in saying that, in my imagination, I was imagining what it would be like to be old and poor, and dreading that, and thinking how awful it would be. That's where my imagination was going. And your imagination is your all-powerful, God-given tool to create with. Your imagination is the key, and the feelings that are associated with that imaginative vision that you have in your head of your result is really, you know, really only imagining, disciplining yourself to only imagine what will contribute to your happiness, and not dwelling on problems or undesirable feelings about anyone else or any situation or yourself or others. Because if you do, that's what you will improve subconscious mind, which is like the fertile womb. And a fertile womb doesn't say no to the sperm that has the most energy attached to it, and it gets there first. It's not to say, no, I don't want you, I want that one there. You know, whichever one has the most energy and whatever attached to it, it's going to be the thing that gets created. So you know, I've often heard people saying, you know, this and that and the other, it always happens to me. This always happens to me because that's what they're imagining. You get exactly what you imagine, what you feel you are. And what you know, you might know in your conscious mind what you want, but what you feel you are will always dominate over what you feel you would like to be. That's the key, really. And this is all connected also with the, you know, quantum reality, because whatever you know, because we're living in a world of vibration and frequency, and everything is about vibration and frequency, and we're broadcasting all the time. Our thoughts are being broadcast into the ether. I mean, I used to think that my thoughts and what I thought and felt was only limited to within me, but it's actually being broadcast, isn't it? I mean, we probably all know that. So, you know, that your thoughts and feelings are giving out a vibration the whole time. And because in the quantum reality, like attracts like, whatever you're giving out, you'll get back. And the thoughts are the electric part, that create an electrical field, and the emotions are magnetic. So when you think something and then you feel it as well, the feeling is the thing that's going to magnetize that end result to you. So thinking about you want creates a feeling, and then the feeling is the thing when you you know, you give that, you give your energy to the feeling that you would have should that result already be a thing, and that's what will bring good things and wonderful things to you. So what else was I going to say about that? Watching, I suppose, watching what you think, watching what you feel, and it takes will to change that because of the fact that we're addicted to the way we have always been. I like the way Joe Dispenza talks about it when he says your personality creates your personal reality. And so in order to change our personal reality, we have to change our personality, which means we have to use our will to feel not so much despondent about things not happening the way we would like them to, or the way we want them to work out, but using our will to feel the joy of the result of whatever it is we want to have in our lives, and living there already before those things have actually happened. So if you've got a choice or an intention, you know, the thing that I like is to create a scene in my mind, and I hear it. I hear people talking to me. I'm like, it's like a little movie in my head, and then I'm living already emotionally in that thing as if it is the present, as if it's with me now. And yeah, so that, I think that's, for me, that's the importance of thoughts and feelings. That enough?
Thanks, Lou. Yeah, so you know, I'm going to read this out to you, and I want you to really listen and really hear these words and let it sink in. So if I say to you, you are the creator of life. I mean, just, you know, if you really think about this, you are the creator of life. This is a truth, that we are the creators of our lives. And Louise was explaining it in you know, subconscious, conscious mind. But if thoughts and feelings, like Louise said, are powerful, are energetic, if a thought is an energy and it's electric, and our heart generates a feeling, that electromagnetic signatures going out into the world and bringing back what we want. And then most people end up with the life that they don't want, blaming everybody around them, blaming the environment, blaming their teachers, their parents, their siblings, their husbands, their wives, their partners. Everything else is blame, which means you're a victim. You're in the victim consciousness. But when I first started speaking, I said, you are the creator of life. So if you're the problem, you are the solution. If you're the creator of life, then you need to choose very carefully the words that you're speaking, the thoughts that you're thinking, the conversations you're having with yourself, especially, and the way you think and feel about yourself, because that is most important, is the inner language, the inner conversation, the narrative that we're having with ourselves. So, you can have two children that live in a family, let's say two little girls, and the one may be a bit older than the other, and the father is speaking badly to the mom and raising his voice, and that little girl's watching this scenario, because Lou and I do this with our clients when we help them heal that wound, and she's making up a whole lot of stories about that interaction. And one of them could be, well, how am I feeling is that it looks like, well, I feel scared, I feel like, she makes a decision, love hurts. She could be thinking, why is my father treating my mother like that? Why is my mother putting up with that? Men are, well, later language could be, men are all bastards, men are arseholes, men don't take care of you. And then that gets recorded in her brain as a program. And then that as the electromagnetic signature goes out into the field, comes back as an experience for her as she's older, to show her that is actually true. But it's not true, because not all men are bastards, and her mom and dad might have been just having a conversation or an argument that they went back into the room and made up. But that little girl doesn't get to see that. So all of that is our programming, and we have so many programs running us. That's really the end result of this session this evening for you, was to be really conscious and awake. Bruce Lipton says that we are 95% asleep to our programming. So what we're thinking and feeling is actually going on and running the show. But consciously, when we're out in the world, or more unconsciously, we are saying things and feeling feeling a certain way, using words that are extremely powerful, that we are unconscious to. And that is creating our life, which means that we are the creator of our life. So, it's very difficult to heal your wounding yourself. You need help to do that. And Lou and I are very good at that. We are able to use the process. It's called the genius alignment process, that goes right into the wound, right back to where that started. And it's really quite incredible when you hear the conversation or the decisions that little child was making about that scenario, which isn't true. And then we live out our lives like that as the creator of our reality, wondering why we're feeling one way and thinking one way about love or about money, but it seems elusive. We never seem to get what we want, because, as Lou was saying, there's an unconscious programming running you that started when you were little. But what you can do, and this is our end result for you in this session, is to be awake. Wake up to what you're thinking. Catch yourself when you think something that's more that's not creative, that's more destructive. Driving in the car, or more about, like, with yourself. Let's say you set yourself a task and you don't achieve it, or you mess it up, and then for 2 days, 3 days, 7 days, 10 years, you can keep telling yourself what an idiot you are. And my daughter does it all the time. She goes, "You're such an idiot. Oh my God, I'm such an idiot. I'm such an idiot." Or with her body, "My back is killing me. That's killing me." The things that are killing you are going to eventually kill you, because you're programming your body, you're programming your mind that this is how it is. And I just want you to read you something about words, how powerful words are. I mean, I've only really just got into how powerful words are. I've been reading books and listening to podcasts about the meaning of words. Words are very powerful. They have meanings that can be spells. I mean, if you, and swords, if you take the S off of the end of words and you put into the front of words, it says swords. And that little rhyme that says, "Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never harm me," is just a trick, because words do harm. And words harm us because they trigger a wound. And we can go, well, the reason why why those words harm us actually is because we believe that about ourselves. Intrinsically, deep down, we believe that that is true about ourselves. Because if someone was saying something to you and using words that you didn't believe about yourself, it would just, you'd just think they were mad. They would just, I don't even know what are you talking about? So I just want to read this, why words are more powerful than swords, because really, since I started really waking up to my inner conversation, my narrative, and the words that I speak to myself and to my children, to my family, to my friends, I've just started to notice quite a big shift in my life actually, and I'm much more in flow now that I try to be awake and more conscious more than 5% of the day, with the words I'm speaking. So it says here, and this is a book called Word Magic. So he says, words are powerful because they carry energy, sound, and frequency, which are some of the building blocks of matter. In addition, they carry information that can be used as knowledge to create or destroy things. Now, if you just think about that, you are, as the creator of life, are either the destroyer or the creator of your life, of relationships, of opportunities, of circumstances. It's all you. When this knowledge is experienced into wisdom, it becomes very powerful and can be used to expand and strengthen a man's consciousness and spiritual power. So when this knowledge is experienced into wisdom, it becomes very powerful and can be used to expand and strengthen a man's consciousness and spiritual power. This is why applied knowledge is power. Words are like swords because they can be used to harm and cut you. In a way, words are more powerful than swords because they can harm or heal you at the deepest levels of your being. And that's what I was saying. We do these beautiful processes that heal you at your deepest being, that help you to then reframe the situation, which then helps you to be more conscious of what you're thinking and feeling about situations that happen in your life. And you're not just on autopilot. You're not just on, you're not just in the world unconscious and as a victim. Keep on creating, and when you keep on creating the same thing over and over again, you hear people say, I don't know why this always happens to me. Or another one Lou and I enjoy, because her mother used to say this a lot, is, oh, well, people are just lucky. I'm not lucky. It's got nothing to do with luck. You're the creator of life. And so the responsibility is on you to be conscious and aware of what you're thinking and how you're feeling. And more importantly, Lou just touched on it, but with your cells, it's called epigenetics. And it's the environment that your cells are living in. So if everything is frequency and vibration, and we are energy, frequency is information. So what information, and we're made up of, I don't know, 80% water, and that is a carrier of information. So we are sending information into every cell of our body that either has anger or disappointment, or, especially as Louise was saying, the feeling is very, very powerful. The feeling is the heart, and it's magnetic. It's super powerful. And, when we've experienced a situation when we were younger, and we've logged it into our body, into our nervous system, we keep on thinking and feeling that thing over and over again. It's like we have pressed record. It's now on play over and over and over. And we make up most of it because we forget when we're little. We forget that thing happened, but the subconscious hasn't forgotten. It keeps it on record, keeps it on play. And, like with animals, when they are chased by the lion, they stop off in a safe space, and they shake their bodies. They just shake out all that fear, and then they join the herd and carry on eating. Whereas human beings don't do that, which is why there's a lot of therapies out there now, which are, you got to shake, and you got to breathe it out and vocalize it out, because you're just getting that energy. You're pushing it out of your body. You're pushing it out of your cells. That's very good therapy, actually. I did it last night with Anastasia. It was quite wild. So how you think and feel creates a state of being, and a state of being is what you're projecting into the world every single minute, every single second of the day. It's your state of being. So, use triggers as a tool. If someone triggers you, if something upsets you in the day, it's not to say that you're never meant to be angry or upset, but the body actually only holds on to that chemical for 90 seconds. At 90 seconds, that chemical is out of your body. You're holding on to it. You're making that mean something. So just throughout your day, just be the observer, be very observant as to what is triggering you. And if something triggers you, it's a gift to say, you know, something's up here, something's triggered me. What am I thinking about it? How am I feeling about it? And then you can start to do work on yourself. You can work with it. Instead of being triggered by it, you can accept it, receive it as a gift, and work with it, use it. Because a lot of people get triggered and then they react, or they push that person away, or they don't want to speak to that person ever again. You know, so this is about actually being in the world and being responsive, being responsible, is able to respond. How am I able to respond to this situation? How am I able to respond to this person's criticism of me? Because I know that it's not, there's something going on in me because I've taken that on, because we will criticize ourselves before anybody else criticizes us. We're the worst critics. You know, I used to come down on myself really badly because I didn't want the pain of someone else criticizing me. You know, my father criticized me a lot. And so if I criticized myself first, I wouldn't have to feel the pain of someone else criticizing me. You know, all this goes back to our parents, and not to blame the parents, because they were doing the best that they could. But now as adults, it's up to us to look at that childhood wound and really be responsible for what we're creating. Yeah, I mean, you know, in this kind of work that we do, it's called heal, rewrite, and reprogram. You've got to heal that childhood wound. You rewrite it as a story that in the way and the vision that you want to see your life, you know, living your life as the creator of life. And then you reprogram. You know, you decide what you're going to think and feel, and that you choose the words you're going to use, and then you press record and you record that as a new program. You know, you could even, like, analogies are great and metaphors are great, but you could just like imagine yourself pressing, you know, in those old tape recorders, hey, you had to press play and record at the same time. So that's what I'm doing, press record, because I'm from that era. But it's about being alert and conscious about what we think, how we feel, and the words we use. So, you know, just when you go throughout your day and you're talking to people, just think to yourself, am I being the creator or the destroyer here? Is this creating life and vitality in my cells, or is this being destructive and breaking down proteins and breaking down, you know, cellular vitality? Is this dimming my lights? You know, cells have lights. It has a positive and a negative. So what am I putting into my body? Is it negative, or is it life-taking, or is it life-giving? And also, when we're interacting with people and someone's pissing you off, this is what I do, and I say to my clients, is just, you know, what would love do? Because the heart is a magnet. The heart, all of the information is generated from us. So just as a little tool, just a little tip, is to say, what would love do? Which is, I mean, that's very powerful, because what that does is it disarms that situation. It disarms the charge, so that you can then, instead of reacting, you can respond, and you can go, right, what would love do? What are my highest values? What am I going to think, and how am I going to feel about this? It happens in a nanosecond. But when you are more of a habit of responding and responding to your life and to what you're creating, then you find peace and harmony within yourself. You find that becomes more habitual. So your responses are more from a place of love than from a place of anger or frustration or retaliation or resentment. You know, so many of us have we have resentment to what's been going on in our lives, and resentment to the government, and resentment to our parents and to our teachers and to the world, and to like we become those little 5-year-olds, and that resentment gets pushed down and pushed down into our bodies, that then manifests as a dis-ease, manifests as, you know, so many people have got bad gut health and RBS, and I've just heard of so many problems with people's tummies these days, and that is what that is. And if you think about anger is a fire. It's got a fire element. You know, you've got that fire raging around in your system, causing absolute havoc with your health, causing havoc with your responses. You know, it's just really about taking care of your inner world, and that's your inner energetic world, your inner physical world, and your mental health. But this is really just all about how am I preparing myself to be a beautiful, whole and responsive creator of life. Because if I'm not being that, then what actually is the point of being in the world? Because I don't want to be creating a life that I don't really want to live in. It seems like it's a silly way to be, isn't it? To be living in a world that you don't want to live in, and creating a life that you don't want, but you're the one creating it. So it's really just about being able to respond. And when we see that we are living, I read this today, when we see that we're living in a thought-created experience, we're able to see it for what it is without the drama. And we're able to adapt to change. We are at peace and able to enjoy our lives without having to know what happens next or how things will turn out. So I think I'm going to leave that there, because that was, that's quite a lot to absorb. I don't know if anyone's got any questions, or I know a few people on here have done the work, so I doubt there's going to be any questions this evening. But if anyone has any questions who watch the recording, if you want to just either direct message Lou or I, or put it in the chat, and we'll answer any questions that you have about thoughts and feelings and the power of words, because there was a lot of information tonight. I know it was a lot.
And the power of words is I've been becoming more and more aware of what I actually say about myself. They might say, oh, I'm no good at that, or just as a throwaway comment, but actually it gets recorded, it goes in. I don't know. A lot of us say that a lot, don't we? I hear people around me saying that a lot, and I say it a lot. I don't know. My mother used to say about luck. I think Sharon mentioned about luck, oh, you've got to be lucky to do well in life. You have to be lucky. And it's all to do with luck. And then I felt, well, I'm not very lucky then, because I've had, quite a lot in my life going wrong. and there's that aspect of my identity, therefore, that felt that, I was not lucky. And so whatever you think about yourself, and whatever you say about yourself is very powerful, extremely powerful, and can have an effect on everything you do, and it has an effect on whether you're creating the things that you want in your life or whether you're not. And it can affect relationships, it can affect synchronicities. I mean, when if you're living in the past all the time, which is what that's connected to, or saying all those things about yourself is like coming from your past conditioning. And if we live in the past, it's very difficult to create a different future. So your different future comes from, basically, a lot of it is from your imagination, and being able to harness your imagination to being able to harness your imagination to create what you want, which is really very highly linked to what you're feeling about what you want. Because if I used, when I was a kid, I felt different, and I felt like I didn't belong. It was huge for me. And as a teenager, I used to, coincidentally, feeling like I didn't belong. I was really bad at turning up on time for things. So often a friend would phone me up and want to meet me at Paynton bus station at, 6 o'clock. And I might rock up at 7 because I just couldn't get my act together to get there. And so bit by bit, people stopped asking me to go and meet them. And I didn't know why. I was all upset and all fed up because I already felt like I didn't belong. And now look, my world was reflecting this to me. It was only when I spoke to one of my school friends, quite a few years ago now, when I went round to her house and we got together, and you were always so late, and I got so fed up with it, I stopped asking you. And it's like, oh, okay, you know, I felt like I didn't belong, and I did things. I guess this is slightly off of thoughts and feelings, but it's not, because it's all connected. Because if whatever it is that you feel about yourself, which is my feeling was that I didn't belong, then I ended up behaving in ways that would actually confirm that for me. It created situations that confirmed that for me. And I felt sad and friendless along the time when I was a teenager. And it was, it's only as I've got older that I realized that I actually created all of that myself. And I guess, and the words that I used about myself, why don't they want me? Why don't they, you focus on those things that are wrong rather than on what you would really love to be happening. So yeah.
Really good timing for what I'm sitting on tonight. Thank you for reminding that thoughts. Yeah, good.
Who said that?
Jill. It's also amazing. It's incredible that when you heal something, when you heal a program, or just when you heal that wound, the life comes in. Normally we find like really straight away to show you that was actually what was going on. Like, so you have an experience of it. And I just had an experience on the weekend, with my sister. Like, I've lived with my sister all my life. So she's the one that we have the most, it's intense because we were both making different stories about things that were going on in our lives. For instance, I'm a year older than her. When she was 5, I had to go to school. She felt I was all that she had. Our parents weren't emotionally able to take care of us. So I was her everything. I was her world. I went off to school because I turned 6 and I left her. And she made a decision. And this has come up before because we both do this work. We both are therapists, but it was really this was a very powerful enactment of that, because she felt that I had deserted her and left her, and she couldn't rely on me. And she literally locked me out of her life in that moment. And she's like, that felt too painful. I can't rely on my sister. Obviously, other things happened around that to make that belief or to make that assumption a real thing for her. So then she could go, well, you see, I can't rely on my sister. And I became very unreliable. Like, if ever she asked me to do anything, I was always unreliable. I was known as unreliable. So you can see at the setup and the family dynamics. And for me, I felt like she pushed me out of her life, that I was always trying to get in. I'm always trying to get in. So, those family dynamics, if you don't understand what's going on, you don't heal that, you're going to be creating situations and mistrust and scenarios with one another that aren't real. It keeps you separate. It keeps you disengaged and not communicating. There's mistrust. There's so much that happens. Like, that is you being the creator of your life. That is how it happens. And my sister and I we're in our 50s now, but we're still working on the stuff because it's deep. It's very deep. But I love her and she loves me, and we're willing to keep on looking at what is coming up for us. So look, it was a huge, big thing, and it was awful when it happened, but I used that information because I knew that I'd done a process with Louise the week before, and I understood what was going on. And that's what's important to heal this, because I could understand what was going on in that moment. It's like, oh my God, it's that. And when I explained that to my sister the next day, she
can't hear you, Sharon. muted yourself.
Sorry. Oh, what the heck? Okay, so the point of that story is that because my sister has done these processes, I've done these processes, and I was able to understand what was going on, as was she. I don't know what is going on with this.
I can hear another.
There's a voice on the computer and I don't know what's going. Anyway, I'm just going to carry on. So, oh my goodness. This is. There's something on my computer talking to me. They're always listening and watching, I'm telling you.
You've got a gremlin.
I have got a gremlin. Anyway, let me just finish this, because the point of all of this is that because my sister and I are more conscious than we're unconscious, and we're more responsive than reacting to one another, we're able to heal our wounds. And I'm not healing my wound for her, I'm healing it for me, so that I can behave differently with her, so that I can, you know, respond to her, so that I'm not in reaction, not feeling on the outside of her life. And with some families, it's gone too long, it's gone too far, it's irretrievable with some people. But the point is, if there's someone in your family who's unconscious, you can choose on how you're going to think or feel about their response or their reaction to you. You can be the observer, you can take a step back instead of just coming in and defending yourself or using aggression. You are responsible for what you're creating. It is up to you to view how you view that scenario. I'm just very grateful that I have a sister who you know has done some of this work, but it really is up to you what you're creating. And the way you think and feel about somebody in your family or your partner or a co-worker is up to you. And I spoke about the ex-husband in the last session. It's how you are relating or thinking or feeling about that person. And it really is, it's, you know, even if you don't believe what we're saying, just use it as an experiment. I'm just going to try this out. You know, you don't have to believe. If you try it out, if you assume, if there's an assumption that, you know, thoughts and feelings are creating your reality, and what you focus on is what you create, and you go and you test that out in the world, you'll be delighted and also empowered to know that you are the creator of your life, and it is up to you to manage how you think and how you feel and the words that you use on a daily basis, moment by moment, just catching yourself in flow. So I think that's about it. Do you want to say anything more about that? Because we're going to have a meditation now.
Yeah, no, not really. But you know, before we do the meditation, which is, I hope you like it. It's at first of all, what I've discovered recently, this wonderful technique where you know, whatever, I think I may have said that last time as well, when you go to sleep at night, your subconscious mind never sleeps. Your self-conscious mind does, but your subconscious mind does not. If you go to sleep with worries or fears or anxieties in your mind, and you go to sleep with that in your mind, your subconscious mind is going to latch onto that and take that as what you want to create more of. So the most powerful thing you can do for yourself is at night before you go to sleep is to do this little visualization of something that you really want. Choose something that you'd like or something that you'd like to change. You know, for instance, you know, there's before I came back from Australia to the UK, I had a tax thing going on. I had to do my tax there, and and the tax lady that I used, who'd always been really good, she told me, "Oh, your tax isn't going to be that much. It's only going to be about $280 or something like that, plus her fee." And I thought, "Oh, well, that's okay. That's awesome, actually. You know, that's great." And then she goes, "Oh, but we forgot about your overseas income," which the overseas income was bugger all, really. I mean, it was basically mostly my UK old age pension, which I'm old enough to get, unfortunately, or fortunately, whichever way you look at it. And it wasn't very much. So I added that up and I sent it to her. My tax bill was going to go up from 280 to something like about $5,000. And I thought, oh, that can't be right. Oh, sorry, bad word. That can't be right. So I made I kind of did a process on this for myself, and I decided that I was going to find someone else, and that all I was going to pay was $400 maximum, right? $400 maximum was all I was going to pay. And I created this scenario in my mind where I saw it, it was real, I was talking to this person and everything. So anyway, I found this other accountant who was recommended to me by chance. And I went to him and I took him all my stuff. And the outcome of it was I got a rebate of something like $1,600, and his fee was $400. So I literally only paid what I wanted to pay, which I'd visualized and been feeling fabulous about inside myself every night before I went to sleep. Well, not every night, but several nights. And that was the result. You know, all I paid was $400 to him for his services, which was more than I would have expected, and I got money back. And then I was working with a client recently, and this is so cool because it happened like overnight. I really want to go back to New Zealand. She's at the moment house sitting in USA somewhere. She really wanted to go back to New Zealand to visit her family for Christmas, but she said all the tickets are so expensive. Everyone's telling me they're so expensive, and I'm just scared, and I don't know if I'll get there. And she's feeling a bit low about it. And I said, well, you choose what you want to pay. You decide what you want to pay. And so she said, okay, $500 is what I want to pay. I said, fine. So you just imagine that, you go to sleep with that, you create your scenario and you create that in your mind. And the very next day, she messaged me and she said, out of the blue, her father had called her, told her to look at American Airlines. There was a cheap flight on it. She went on. There was one seat left at $400 and she got it, and the rest of them were well over $1,000. And it happened overnight. It was just phenomenal. So this technique is really cool. So you can, it can be anything, big or small or whatever. But actually, if you start with something smaller, it's not a bad thing to do, rather than, going to sleep and wanting to win $1 million on the lottery. But it might take a bit longer. But deciding what it is you want is the first thing. So I'm going to take you through a little process now to kind of give you the idea of what to do when you're going to sleep at night, and then let that be the last thing in your mind before you actually doze off, if you can. And that's what your subconscious mind will work on overnight, and just see what happens. So if you're up for that, I'm just going to ask you to close your eyes, and I want you to decide what it is that you want, what you would like to create. And close your eyes and just notice your breath. And breathe into your heart. Just nice deep breath. Feeling your heart center expanding as you breathe into it. Warming and expanding. And breathing out through your mouth. And just noticing your breath. Breathing into your heart. And breathing out. And now bring into your mind what it is that you wanted. Bring it into your mind and create a scene in your mind. It could be you telling your friend in an excited manner that you got what you wanted. It could be you wanted to be somewhere, so imagine yourself already there sleeping in a bed where you can, if you wanted to be somewhere by, in somewhere exotic by the sea, imagine yourself in a bed where you can actually feel the warm air and where you can hear the ocean. Or it could be that you want to receive a sum of money. So see yourself checking your bank account and smiling and laughing and telling somebody that you've already got this sum of money, be a new job. Whatever it is, create a little scene in your mind. You're the writer, the actor, the director, and the producer of your scene. In your imagination, you're already there. It's already happening. And you are flooding with emotion in your heart. Your heart is filling with the elevated emotions of joy, relief, excitement, happiness, connection, love. Just keep on feeling and breathing into your heart center. Hear the sounds that you would hear. Feel the sunshine. Feel the excitement. See yourself being congratulated by a friend, whatever it is. Just let your imagination go wild. You're already living emotionally in the end result of what you want. It's a done deal. You have what you want already. Your future self is already there. And those elevated emotions are going to take your 3D physical body to the same place as your future self. Those emotions are going to magnetize that future experience into your 3D reality. And as you breathe and feel the love and feel the joy, if you're in bed at night, and you just stay in that beautiful space and you go to sleep in that scene, breathing and feeling. And that's it. It's very simple. Neville Goddard calls the imagination God within yourself. Your imagination is God. God creates everything, creates the world, creates us, creates the animals, trees, the sunshine. And if you accept that God is your imagination, it's like the sky's the limit. And if you do this before you go to sleep and you let that be the last thing in your mind, let that be the last thing in your mind before you go to sleep, then your subconscious mind is going to go to work on it for you. Your subconscious mind is your creative womb, fertile womb of creation. And it's going to say a big fat yes to anything that holds the power. And it's going to move, you know, the emotion of your end result. Emotion is energy in motion. And when you've got that energy in motion, that mobilizes your creative forces to engage your emotion and your feelings. And it takes will. It's a choice. Your emotional state is completely under your control, whether you are aware of it or not. So rather than it happening unconsciously, you know, let's try and make this a conscious thing. I'm still learning how to do it, you know, but I tell you what, it's really exciting.
I think what's most exciting is that for me, the scariest thing is about being disempowered and not having control as a 8 number on the Enneagram, if anyone knows about that. And for me, this just puts me back in control. Like I feel like I'm in control of my life. I'm in control of the direction I'm going in. Like nobody has the power over me. I have the power over me. That's really helped me to make different choices, respond in different ways. I respond totally different to my children. You know, I'm so laid back. I mean, I wish I'd have been like this when they were little. You know, I was very reactive and I had a lot of anger when they were little because they challenged my control. They challenged my power. And so I responded with aggression and control, and you will do as I say. I don't respond like that anymore, but it's very empowering, you know, when we know that we have the ability to take the power back and to have complete control. Look, there's things that go on in the world that you don't have control over. So let those go, put that down. Don't pay no attention. But look at the things that you can make changes and look at the things that you can control. And life will be a lot more peaceful. I guarantee you, since it is in my life and Louise's life. I've known Louise for a long time now, and she's a different person from when I first met her. I'm a different person from when she first met me. She used to do my head in.
She was telling me off earlier about something I used to do when I was driving, and
It used to be really cynical, and Louise has changed the narrative, changed the language. She was very cynical about the world and life, and always like, well, you know, this and all this excuse, that excuse, and I came with whatever I came with. But you know, we don't talk like that to each other anymore. And if we do, we'll pull each other up. We'll go, you know, I mean, I'm, you know, not in a nasty way and in a kind and caring way, because I don't want her to talk like that about herself or the world. So it's also about being responsible for people around you, just gently nudging them and having a ripple effect on other people's lives. When you start speaking a language that is a high vibration, when you speak words that are higher vibration, you raise the frequency and the vibration of those around you. I'm just going to leave you with that, because we are all responsible for what we're creating and the people around us. And it is our responsibility to raise the frequency and the vibration of humanity. And we can do that without having to, you know, do too much.
Yeah, totally.
Thank you, Jill. And just, we'll see you all in a month's time. We'll put the date on. We've made it a month so that we can go into like a week into.
I think it's about 3 weeks, isn't it? Or is it a month? I can't remember.
It's a month.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, we'll put the details in the chat. But thank you so much for being here. All you beautiful
thank you,
girls. Josh, Jill, Mo. Thank you. Love you all. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.